Hello, everybody. I'm Tanner Sharp in the booth here on 3Y TV. Alongside me is Mr. Peter Shortman. Somewhere in a production truck, hard-working at hand, is Carlos Acosta. And today we are here at the Michigan International Speedway for the ASRS Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series at the Michigan International Speedway. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval here, Peter. This is a popular racetrack on the NASCAR standards due to its wide surface of racing. It is one of the fastest tracks on a NASCAR circuit due to its sweeping corners, long straightaways, and of course the lack of restrictor plate equipment. Tell me a little bit about your knowledge of the Michigan International Speedway.
Well, I mean, you kind of hit the key points. This racetrack is very, very fast. It is very, very wide. It is also very, very slick. We've seen a lot of trucks out there struggling here in practice. And I know you, Tanner, you have a little bit of race time on this track this week in this truck with this setup. And I do believe it's a handful. And I expect to see a lot of drivers here tonight, slideways coming out of these corners. But like you said, it's a very, very fast racetrack. And so when you get slideways, it all of a sudden can turn on you in on a dime.
Here in the summer months, since we are in August, as you see on screen, you can also tell it is a daytime race. We have no lights at Michigan, so that sun is beating down on the racetrack, which makes the temperature of the racetrack go up, and these trucks will be slide wading around the whole every corner, and maybe on the straightaways. I don't know, probably not, but it does get extremely slick out there for every single one of these drivers. So we talked about a little bit of the racetrack, and this is the last race before you make the playoffs. The playoffs consist 12 drivers, and let's talk about that right now. We have on screen right here, top of the screen, Mogard, Brown, Worsler, and Black. They're the top 4 drivers in points. They are locked in. And we'll get about Black here in just a second, but Joseph Sawville on down, 88 plus. But realistically, mathematically, from Jared Haggerty, Tim Knott, they should make it in, but there's a chance for them to get knocked out, of course. And Everett Bray's just got to do everything he can, especially try to win this race here at Michigan, if he would like to be any part of the 2019 Sam Maxwell Customs ASRS Truck Series playoffs. Now, Peter, speaking of Evan Black, he's the main story of here tonight because the penalty report of the ASRS league came out, and I do believe if you have it up, otherwise I also have it up. Evan Black was penalized. He was a part of that penalty report. What do you have? What are you reading on that penalty report regarding Evan Black?
Well, I mean, Evan Black was the first truck to finish last week at Eldora in the race that we had there, but unfortunately, he had that win taken away from him. He was scored as the last truck on the lead lap. And essentially what happened during the race, if you missed it here on 3Y TV, there was a little bit of contact that Evan Black made during a slide job, got into the back of another truck, spun the other truck around. And unfortunately for Evan, the league thought that was a contact that was avoidable contact, and he did not claim that penalty. During the middle of the race, they felt that it, unfortunately for Black, kind of affected the outcome of the race. And so for Evan, he was shown as the last truck on the lead lap once the final results were shown the day after last Wednesday. Brandon Kreutz as well, that's another driver who will be sitting out tonight's event. In fact, he'll be sitting out for 30 days, as you can see there at the bottom of your screen. So there you have the number 92 and the number 93 who are both not here tonight, as well as the number 94 not showing his face here tonight. That would be the 94 of Corey Silva. So a couple of trucks here that are usually players up near the front, not in tonight's race.
Very unfortunate. And to me, it just sounds like the officials that reviewed the penalties this week really put a kibosh to a lot of things, and that's just kind of like how way it is. They're gonna, they want to have a good playing field for every single driver, and that's just the way it goes. We get the penalty report every single week from ASRS regarding everything that goes on. There were some other penalties too, but they are pretty minor. But the significant ones was Brandon Kreutz and Evan Black. And Evan Black, that might change if he does not race the playoffs. That might change up the complexion just a little bit regarding on Edward Braid trying to get into the playoffs or somebody else trying to get into the playoffs as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as this race goes on and as well as the weeks goes on. So please stay tuned to 3Wide TV for all that kind of information, of course. Right now, every single driver should be in qualification mode. They all did a driver's meeting. Qualifying is about 10 minutes long, so we do have a little bit of time here on screen trying to make out who that is going down the back straightaway. Is the number 6 of Jared Haggerty. Jared Haggerty looks like he's on his qualification run right now. In the number 6, not one driver's posted his qualifying time yet, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about practice. Sam Maxwell was the fastest driver in practice. He's on track right now, coming off turn number 4. Maxwell was a 39.718. Will Worsler, Troy Haight, Michael Krobach, and Tyler Sawville, the top 5 in practice speeds. Now, qualifying results come in right now. We have Tim Knott with 39.9. He was about 13th fastest in practice. Tim Knott is number 1 on the pole. Alex Kesey, Sam Maxwell, Doug Mullins, Alan Young, the top 5 so far in qualification.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the chat right now, and just want to say we had a couple of drivers, Evan Black, Brandon Kreutz, 2 of those drivers saying that Primetime Racing has withdrawn. The only exception is Will Worsler, and in fact, Will Worsler has moved teams this week. Will has moved to a new team with some new teammates, and that would be Ignite Racing. Yes. So we'll be seeing that Will Worsler machine out there. Always fast, always looking to get to victory lane here tonight. Michael Krobach, though, currently atop the leaderboard here in qualifying session. But look at that driver on screen right there. That's the 00, Jared Mogard, and he's looking to get back to victory lane.
We do appreciate the information that is received to us here on 3Y TV so we can have accurate information, of course. And, you know, it's unfortunate how everything just comes about, but Will Worsler is out there and he's fast. He's got some guys to work with there too. Doug Mullins, he's 6th currently in qualifying trim, and trying to find actually now 7th, I should say. And Doug was kind of not anywhere near the top 10 in the practice speed chart, but so far looking pretty good right now. Michael Krobach sits on top of the board in the number 72 machine, HPP Simulations. Kind of looking else throughout the field here. We're kind of waiting for Dylan Hickey, Jack Wells, Richard Fletcher, Jason Stewart, Will Worsler, all of them drivers who are pretty good here. Brian Yazik is another one. Actually, he's on track right now. Brian Yazik, and that number 55 HPPSimulations.com Toyota.
Yeah, and I actually really like the way that 55 truck looks. He's got that chartreuse yellow stripe down there at the bottom of that machine, kind of akin to the yellow you'll see on Jim Foose's Menard Toyota Tundra, but he's just now coming out of turn number 3 and 4. He doesn't look like he set a time last lap. Not quite sure why. He's going to come down here on the main straightaway and put in the 2nd fastest time. HPP Simulations, Michael Krobach, Brian Yazik up there at the front. 1-2 currently here in qualifying. And Yazik's going to shut down that engine and coast it back to pit road.
Shout out to that sponsor, HPP Simulations. They have teammates. There's teammates up there. Brian Yazik, Michael Krobach for Loud Pedal Motorsports. Looking pretty good here at Michigan. And I know Brian Yazik is from Michigan here, so I guess you can consider this as like a home track for Brian. So he's so far posted a good qualifying time. He's got to be pretty happy to be 1-2 with his teammate right now.
And here's the number 51 of Mitch Brown. Of course, you can't spell Michigan without Mitch. Just kidding.
No.
I know how to spell Michigan. But Mitch Brown, he's going to come to the stripe this time. That number 51 machine, we'll see what he can do. Goes 3rd place on the board. So some late qualifiers here jumping up to near the top of the chart. And we'll see if Mitch Brown can actually pick it up on his 2nd lap here. Goes through turns number 1 and 2. And I don't quite know about the fall-off, Dan. I know you've had some laps on this racetrack with these trucks this week. What's the fall-off like with the trucks?
After a lap, you're done. I mean, realistically, you technically are, but when you're getting, here's the difference, folks. The qualifying trim is always going to be different than race trim. So qualifying, you get 2 laps. You want to master that first lap because you got to take advantage of the extra stickers. Everybody's using that apron down towards the start-finish line to try to gain a little extra speed. And right now, top of the board. Holy cow, look at that. Mitch Brown, top of the board.
Yeah, he did pick it up on lap
He
number
did.
2.
But the tire fall is pretty significant here at Michigan, of course. I was a little confused when I was running it. I mean, I don't know why. I thought that my left sides were wearing a little more than my right, but I had to put in a little more laps on the truck. It was more wear and tear on the right sides, of course, and that's how it should be in NASCAR. But you want to try to take every opportunity to try to get tires. Don't come down if you just got out of a 10-lap run, you don't want to stay out. You're gonna get eaten up because your truck's gonna handle different than everybody else because everybody else has fresher grip. You want to try to take every opportunity for tires. This is a 63-lap race. This league uses on 100% fuel load. So we're at least going to see 1 pit stop. If it stays green, you could probably take advantage of those tires and try to gain track position if you qualify middle of the field or back of the pack. But, if you get so many cautions, you're going to want to take every little every opportunity you can to get tires. If a caution comes out with at least like 3 laps in, sure, go ahead, take 2 tires, see if it works. Experiment right off the bat. You don't want to experiment in the middle of the race, and you don't want to experiment towards the end of the race. If you're going to take a 2-tire gamble, experiment it with, hopefully get that early caution, experiment it with it at the beginning of the race, and if it doesn't work out, you know what to do for later.
Yeah, definitely trying those sorts of things earlier rather than later is what you got to do as a driver, just to try and find out, will it work if you get into a green-white checker situation towards the end, because green-white checkers are turned on.
Yes.
We have 3 attempts here tonight, and hopefully we don't get to use any of those attempts, but if it does so happen, you'll at least want to have some knowledge in your back pocket there towards the end. But we do have about 1:50 left here in qualifying. Most of the field has turned to time. We are still missing Dylan Hickey, J.R. Bash, Richard Fletcher, Jason Stewart, Will Worsler, Chris Titus, and Jack Wells. Still a few trucks to go out here tonight if they have not been assessed starting at the rear of this race. But you know what, Tanner? I heard Richard Fletcher, that number 47 machine, going back to the tire point. I heard him in practice call out, I'm going to need fresh tires every 10 laps because these trucks looked all over the place after about 5 laps. I saw the number 29, Will Worsler, dirt tracking it through turns number 1 and 2. That he was just sawing on the wheel. The wheel was just, or I should say, the truck was yawed out through the entire corner at probably about 5 to 10 degrees, just trying to keep that truck going straight. Yeah. And it's going to be a pretty impressive show here tonight. I do expect to see, a couple drivers have some self-spins here tonight just with the treacherous track conditions. Track temperature currently sitting at about 116 degrees Fahrenheit. And once you get some heat in your tires and get around this joint with how fast it is, your tires just get oh so hot. And it just doesn't help the situation. And you get the tires hot, you're going so fast, and it's like a snowball effect.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we do have day-to-night transitions here on iRacing now. So the sim time today, right now, is 12:54 p.m. going on 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to get hotter as this race goes on. The more laps these trucks turn, the hotter that track is going to get. And the hotter the tires, the more slick it's going to get. These guys are going to be seesawing that steering wheel. And the best way to describe it, folks, is take a chainsaw. It's like dancing with a chainsaw, that's the best way I can describe it as. As funny as that sounds. But qualifying is now over with. We get to the grid, and we do have a couple of things before they start rolling off here. There's a few EOL penalties given this week. Chris Titus is one of them in the 04 truck. Jason Stewart and Will Worsler all have received EOL penalties from the penalty report, so they will, no matter where they start this week, they will have to start from the rear. So that's kind of one of the reasons why Will Worsler, Jason Stewart and them guys, and Chris Titus, all 3 of them, did not take a qualification time, so they will receive an EOL penalty once we get going here. All right, now let's go ahead and bring it to the grid. Mitch Brown, congratulations. You're in front of the Loud Pedal Motorsport guys. You get the pole for this evening, so good job, Mitch. And Michael Krobach second, Brian Yazek in third. Jimmy McKee is in fourth, Tim Knott in fifth. Jared Mogard, he's fast. We know he's fast. Wherever he goes, he's going to roll off in sixth, and he's made it into the playoffs. Jonathan Holstein's in seventh, Alex Skeesey in eighth, Sam Maxwell in ninth. Rounding out that top 10 is Doug Mullins.
Tyler Saville will start from the 11th position in the number 11 truck. To his outside, the number 24 of Alan Young. On row number 7 would be the number 26 of Lee Staples and the number 45 of Nick Curling. Right behind them on row number 8, the number 6 of Jared Haggerty and the number 28 of Troy Haight. And Troy Haight has a possible outside shot of working his way into the playoffs if things go his way tonight. Jim Foose in the number 42 will roll off from the 17th position, and Pete Baskins will roll off 18th. Richard Stallings 19th, and Edward Bray rounds out your top 20.
21st position, last driver take qualification time, Steve Bahula. And 22nd, you have Will Worsler. And Jason Stewart, 23rd. Chris Titus, 24th. Dylan Hickey's 25th. J.R. Bash, 26th. Richard Flesher, 27th. Jack Wells rounding out the 28 truck field here today for the Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series here at the Michigan International Speedway. And we have to give a shout out before we go green to a sponsorship here. It is Slyce. Slyce presented by Perky Pints. This is the Slyce 125 presented by Perky Pints. Coming through turns 3 and 4, there's only one pace lap, so we are going green this time by. Getting ready to go for the 2019 Slyce 125 presented by the Perky Pints of the American Sim Racing Series, Sam Maxwell Custom Truck Series. This has been a fantastic series to call all season. This is the last race before the playoffs. The next race for these guys is going to be at the Bristol Motor Speedway to kick off the playoffs. So what a way to kick off the playoffs, and that's at Bristol. And what a way to end it on a fantastic racetrack, Michigan International Speedway. Pace car is going to dive off, and by the way, this is the repay version of Michigan on iRacing. As the pace car heads down pit road, it's going to be all Mitch Brown. He's going to lead the Loud Pedal Motorsport guys to the green flag. And they're off.
Yeah, first one to the Loud Pedal is that number 51 of Mitch Brown, but to his outside, the number 72 of Michael Krobach, hard charging off into turn number 1. We're side-by-side up the front. We're going to see a decent amount of side-by-side racing here with such a wide racetrack. Michael Krobach holding strong on the outside of that number 51 as they go through turns number 1 and 2. Now onto the backstretch, people starting to get sorted out. Yazek is going to slot in behind his teammate Krobach up there at the front, looking a little bit further back. Here's number 41, Tim Knott back there. As they head off into the corner, side by side, still for the race lead. It'll be interesting to see what line prevails. Ooh, 72 at Krobach got a little bit sideways there through turn number 3 and 4. Had to roll out of the throttle, and now he's getting freight trained to his inside.
Boy, Jimmy McKee, clowns to the left of me, jokers to my right for a split second, but he's all right on the inside. I have not said that in a long time, and I'm glad I did. But, man, the Loud Pedal Motorsports had a terrible first lap, the 72 and the 55. They lost positions right off the bat after starting second and third. They're still trying to fight right now, and the one that's really trying to fight is Brian Yazek on the inside of the number 73, Jonathan Holstein. That would be the first side-by-side battle out there right on the racetrack. That is going to be a battle position for 6th place. Closely followed behind is Sam Maxwell in the number 98, who was the fastest truck in the practice session. So maybe Sam can show some speed here. We got a battle for the top spot right now, though. Oh, a little bit of a crossover move. Jared Mogard coming from 6th place on lap 3, challenging for the top spot. Is Mitch Brown going to get the run off of turn number 2? He's trying, he's fighting. He cannot hold on, slides right in front of him, Mogard does, and Jared Mogard gets the race lead.
Yeah, Mogard did a little bit of trickery there on the front stretch, staying right behind Mitch Brown, and just pulled out underneath that. Number 51 took that spot going through turns number 1 and 2. Fantastic start for Mogard, already up 5 spots, and he's got clean air on the nose. And you and I know, Tanner, that's what you're going to want to have here with such a slippery racetrack. Now everyone's going to draft behind that 00 up the front. Look at Tim Knott going to the outside of the number 31 of Jimmy McKee. Backs out of it going off into turn number 1 and 2. Now looking at this battle, You have the number 98 there of Sam Maxwell there on the inside. Maxwell, like you said, very, very quick. Ooh, a little bit of sideways coming out of turn number 2. Jonathan Holstein right behind that number 98 machine. He lost a ton of ground. Now looking a little bit further back, there's the number 26 machine. That's Lee Staples. And underneath him, the number 45 of Nick Curling. They're side by side now through turns number 3 and 4. Just got to keep an eye on these trucks. Get a little bit sideways there. Looks like Foose might have had a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of the corner. There's the number 29 of Will Worcester. He's trying to work his way up after starting near the back of the pack. He's up to the 18th position, already up 4 spots from where he started.
Some drivers picking them off one by one. Will Worcster's one of them. Kind of look at Chris Titus and Jason Stewart. Trying to find Jason Stewart. He's still well in the back of the pack. A battle I was looking at was Michael Krobach. He was trying to get underneath Tim Knott for position. No avail, but looks like the Loud Pedal Motorsport guys, the 55 and the 72, have recovered here, and they're just racing. There's some close side-by-side racing between Mitch Brown and Jamie McKee. They were door-to-door as they were coming to the start-finish line, and they technically still are door-to-door as they head down into turn 1. Side by side, that middle group's going to be the popular lane, but as the tires wear off, you're going to want to be on the outside of somebody to get the runoff. Sometimes you just got to be really careful. Turn 2 is going to be a hot spot for a lot of these drivers, just due to how slick it is out there. Turn 4 can get a little hairy as well. I think turn 3 and 4 is a little more difficult than 1 and 2 as far as trying to search for your line where that grip is.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always found basically both ends of this racetrack race a little bit differently, and turn 2 is definitely pretty tricky because the track narrows up, but 3 and 4 you can definitely have your grip come away from your race truck very, very quickly. Do you want to highlight this number 31 as he's battling to the inside of the number 51? Jimmy McKee has had a very good run as of late. It was unfortunately kind of stopped at Eldora last week, but over the past 5 races he's got 4 finishes inside the top 4. So Jimmy McKee in that number 31 machine definitely showing some muscle here. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make the playoffs, but that number 31 has definitely had a turnaround since the beginning of the season.
Boy, Richard Stallings had a big moment up here towards the front, man. Right by the 51, we're on board with Tim Knott there. And now here comes Krobach and Jacek slicing and dicing up the field. Man, I tell you what, Jacek got the door slammed down on him. He wanted to go with the 72 while he was pushing them. But, man, that door got slammed, and Jacek wisely had to back out of it. And there was almost some right here on screen. Last time by off turn number 2, Lee Staples and Richard Stallings had a close call last time by off turn 2. Looks like they're still racing in the back of the pack. There's some big action. Look, the Loud Pedal Motorsports are really working together as far as the drafting is concerned here at Michigan. Jacek's been trying to follow Michael Krobach, and they're on that higher line of the racetrack. They got a huge run momentum here. Mitch Brown, the pole sitter, trying to hold them off. I think this is going to be the preferred line where Krobach is right now, but it looks like it was a better entrance. Oh, Krobach doing a crossover move here. Going to go towards the inside. Maybe had to check up just a little bit. They're still side-by-side coming off turn number 2. This is some fantastic racing right here, as well as some good teamwork. I didn't think you could do teamwork here at Michigan, but, man, I tell you what, Jacek's just been kind of like riding behind Krobach, and they're going back up towards the front.
Yeah, there's great racing throughout this field. Just saw Pete Baskins in the number 3 actually had a slide into the infield of on the backstretch. Looks like no damage to that machine. He's able to keep it going. You can see that there, but he was all the way below the blue cone on the backstretch, sideways with that number 3 machine. So already some indications that these trucks are really starting to loosen up. But there's some fantastic battles throughout the field. There's the number 29, Will Worcester. We talked about him. He started at the back. He's already up to the 15th position, 7 spots above 22nd spot. Of course, he's sporting Slyce on the front of that number 29 machine as he slices to the inside. I'm getting boos from the production truck, but he's got around Nick Curling, slicing and dicing his way up to the front in that 29 Perky Pints machine.
Yeah, you got to take it how you got it. You know, we got a caution. Oh, front stretch before the start-finish line. Pete Baskins, you were just talking about him, Peter. Number 3. Pete Baskins has an accident off of turn number 4. We'll go to the replay. And looks like he just got loose and going through the grass area there. That's the problem right there. He's trying to save the truck, and when he's trying to save the truck, he's trying to do. He gets back on the racetrack and does it, and that brings out a yellow. I think he probably could have kept it down there to prevent the yellow, but nonetheless, this does bring out our first yellow flag, and this is an early yellow flag. So now here's a determination right here, as we have an onboard of Pete Baskins. Yeah, he just came on the racetrack. He still was losing the truck due to the hot, slick conditions out there, and caution comes out as he goes through the victory lane there.
Yeah, and that's very similar to what happened to him a few laps ago on the backstretch. He just got a little bit sideways, and on the backstretch, you have all that runoff down there on the inside of the racetrack, so he was able to save the racetrack, but on the front stretch, you aren't so lucky with that grass down there.
All right, so this is the first caution that we have. We are 11 laps completed, and we just seen technically 10 green flag laps. Now the question remains, do you want to come down pit road to take 2 tires? In my personal opinion, I think that's too many laps on the tires. I'd say if you had a caution at like lap 5, go ahead and take the gamble. But I think, in my opinion, and the way the tire wears here on iRacing, and due to the hot, slick conditions, 10 laps in, 11 laps in, you're going to want to take 4 tires.
Oh yeah, there's really no question. This is going to be a 4-tire pit stop for the whole field. You might see a driver or 2 stay out, maybe at least lead a lap, but if you're going to come down pit road, you're going to get 4 fresh tires. It's just a matter of how well you get into your pit box and how well your virtual iRacing crew does on pit road to see if you can gain positions on pit road. There's the number 55 of Brian Yazik. Looking a little bit further back, Doug Mullins back there in the 18. There's everyone on pit road. Troy Haight in the 28.
Everybody's on pit road. We have the time tracker, how long they're on the pit lane as a whole, and as well as they're in their pit box. 4 tires looks like it's going on every single truck. I am not seeing one driver to take 4 tires. Jared Mogart is out and away. That was a 14-second pit stop, and looks like he's going to lead the field out. We got Mitch Brown, Jimmy McKee, Michael Krobach, Brian Yazik, the top 5 leaving pit road.
Yeah, good pit stop for that number 51 of Mitch Brown. Of course, he also has the first pit stall. But really, Mitch Brown nailed it getting into his pit box. I don't think he could have done it any better than he did in that number 51 machine. I think that also helped gain him 1 position on pit road. But we're working our first caution here, lap 13 of only 63 tonight. It's gonna go by pretty quick tonight, I would say. Only 125 miles.
Yeah, and we've seen some pretty good racing, and that was just a 1-truck spin off of turn number 4 that we just seen. So that just brought our first caution of this evening's festivities. Jared Mogard, Jimmy, actually it's going to be Mitch Brown. The iRacing timing and scoring has yet to reset, but we also have live timing and scoring on our end. The top 10 right now sit Jared Mogard, Mitch Brown, Jimmy McKee, Michael Krobach, Brian Yazik, Sam Maxwell, Doug Mullins, Alan Young, Tim Knott, and Alex Giese. That's currently the top 10 right now. Driver, I was worried for, and we got the 1 to green already. Man, caution's going by quick here at Michigan. Driver, I was worried about at the drop of the green flag. He's dropped 10 positions. Actually, he's dropped more now as they're coming across the start-finish line, so make it 12. That was Jonathan Holstein, started 7th back in 19th. So hopefully Jonathan can regain his composure just a little bit, get back up towards the front. Drivers on the move. Dylan Hickey, 25th to 17th. Will Worsler, 22nd to 13th. As the biggest name driver, not biggest name drivers, but biggest drivers on the move currently right now, as we sit with 13 laps completed, coming to take the green flag on the complete lap 14.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's been a fantastic race so far, and only 1 caution in the first few laps. Very, very slick out there for these drivers, but sometimes slick racing puts on a fantastic show. I know I'm a fan of the slick conditions because I always think it allows drivers to kind of tone it down just a little bit, be a little bit more cautious on the throttle. And personally, I think that produces better racing. And sometimes you'll have a race like this where everyone's complaining about it being super slick in practice, and you get to the race and there aren't very many cautions. So hopefully we can go caution free from here, but we'll see as the pace car's pulling down.
Base cars pulling down pit road. This is the first restart. It's all Jared Mogard. He's already on the loud pedal. And we're back, Green Flag Racing. Uh-oh, Michael Krowak having a big issue. He spins the tires on the higher line of the racetrack. That's going to back up the high side line. But hopefully Michael Krowak can regain his truck. Looks like he is going to pull down right in front of Tim Knott in the 41. And it looks like he is okay for the moment, but it did cause a stack up on that outside row.
Yeah, it looks like he definitely spun his tires because I was riding on board with him as we went back to Green Flag Racing, and I saw his RPM start to go up, but the truck just wasn't going anywhere. So Krobach is going to lose a couple positions here, now back behind Doug Mullins in that number 18 machine. So move Mullins now up another position. Krobach back to 6th. Good job by the whole field to stack up there a little bit, not pile them up, as we have seen before when someone spins their tires. But very interesting to see that Krobach might have spun his tires there, even with fresh tires. That's not something you see all too often. Usually you have to have a couple laps on your tires to spin them. But here tonight with these slick conditions, oh man, almost contact there. Maybe the 77 of Geesey might have smacked the wall there. We'll see if we can see any damage on that number. So, oh, lots of contact with the outside wall.
Now he's
Still
on
in the outside wall. Yeah, no question if there's any damage there or not anymore. He's running that higher line, hoping that he isn't having any type of technical difficulties with his hardware. But nonetheless, that number 77 is going to hurt just a little bit, as here comes Krobach trying to get back underneath Doug Mullins, trying to make up for that restart that he had just a few laps ago. And he will get around that number 18 machine. So move move Krobach up into the 5th position.
Yeah, Krobach just trying to recover from spin the tires right there. And yeah, it usually doesn't matter if it's hot. Usually if it's hot, slick like how it is today, you're going to spin the tires despite the tires being fresh. But at the same time, when you're on the first lap of them tires, you are technically flat out. You are sort of letting off the throttle just a little bit, about going half throttle to let the car recuperate, or the truck recuperate, and then you're back into the throttle. So you're technically flat foot in this joint. But as long as the green flag run goes on, you're gonna have you're just gonna have to lift getting into the corner.
Yeah, and you just got to keep those tires as cool as possible. I know it sounds silly, but if you can keep those tires cool, it will allow your truck to have a lot more grip, as we see a side-by-side battle for the 3rd position. Brian Yazik getting underneath Mitch Brown. There they are on the racetrack, and Yazik's going to make that move. He slams the door on that number 51, and here comes his teammate, Michael Krobach. Krobach going to see if he can get around that number 51 machine in front of him now. So those two drivers kind of recuperating now from that restart just a few laps ago. Krobach now to the inside of Mitch Brown. We ride on board with the number 51. The number 72. I'm getting all my numbers mixed up here. That's what happens when you look at live timing and scoring while talking. The number 72, Michael Krobach, now headed down the back stretch. He had a really good run on entry through turn number 1. Was able to draw alongside with that number 51 machine. Had to check up a little bit there on the inside, maybe a little bit sideways. And that's going to give Mitch Brown a good run coming out of turn number 4. Mitch Brown is going to clear Michael Krobach here. And so Krobach's going to have to go back to the drawing board to see if he can get around Mitch.
Boy, this has been a really good battle between Brown and here's another side-by-side battle. Otherwise, not everybody's remaining single file except right here on screen. That's Sam Maxwell and Tim Knott. Another battle's in the back of the pack between the number 28 machine and Richard Stallings. Troy Haight and the 17 of Richard Stallings. That's back there for about 13th position. Tim Knott is battling side-by-side with Sam Maxwell. This actually brought in Will Worsler. Actually, the car ahead of him is Jared Haggerty. Or the truck. I keep saying cars, it's trucks. And this is another battle that's been going on right now. This is actually the hottest battle, I should say. On screen right now is a really good battle. Actually, one of the hottest battles because they keep going back at it. That's Krobach and Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown, the pole sitter. Looks like Krobach is able to clear Mitch Brown for position. And back where Tim Knott is at, that's Jared Haggerty. Jared Haggerty close to Will Worsler off of turn number 2, side by side. As they go down the back straightaway, Mitch Brown, he might come back on Michael Krobach. I'm calling 2 battles at once here. We got a battle for second going on. Ooh, 31, McKee and Yazik. Yazik just went right by him in 3 and 4. Give Yazik second place. Yazik, I'll tell you what, Yazik's not too far behind either. Yazik's got 0.4 of a second. Mogard has not necessarily pulled away, realistically. Yazik has been picking them up and dropping them. A little bit of a dismal start to the race, even though they lost about 3-4 spots, but they're back up in the mix of things.
Contact!
Oh, no!
Whoa. Man, you changed that to that camera view there, Mr. Production Man, but that was really close there. Will Worsler getting a little nudge from the 6 of Jared Haggerty, having to do some dirt tracking. Last week was Eldora. This week is Michigan, not a place where you really want to do some dirt tracking, but that number 29 was turned to the inside wall. Fantastic save, kept his foot in it, did Will Worsler, and that number 29 has now worked his way up into the 9th position outright on the racetrack. Next car in front of him, next truck in front of him is the number 41 of Tim Knott. But, to go back to your point, Tanner, about Brian Yazik, he's actually been the fastest race truck out there for the past few laps on the average lap time. So definitely Yazik's found something here early in this run. We've been green flag now for about 6 laps or so. So those tires will start to transition and get more and more slippery as you're right on board with that number 55. You see that just a little bit of a wiggle coming out of turn number 4. These drivers trying to get everything they can out around this 2-mile D-shaped oval.
Boy, just think about it. It's like watching a dog. The dog is looking at you. His front end of the body's just staring. He's just staring at you. The front of the body's not moving, but the tail is wagging. Just like that. He is just fighting that wheel. That back end of the truck is just going left, right, like a dog's tail. And he's just, he's loose, but loose is fast because he is really gaining on Mogard. Yeah,
he's just kind of sizing him up. In fact, you see that 00 get a little bit sideways in front of him. That's going to give Yazik a run here coming out of turn number 4. Trying to use that draft to his advantage. Going to go to the inside here down there on the apron. We're side by side for the race lead.
Side by side for the race lead. Was it the correct line to take to get on the bottom side of the racetrack? Will Mogard come back on the high side? Mogard, we know him. He's not afraid to use a bumper. He bumps him. He tapped him. Caution is out. Oh, great save by Brian Yazik. But man, I was just about to comment on too as it was going to happen. Mogard was not afraid to use the bumper, and boy, he was not afraid of it, because just that slight tap just sent Yazik right around coming off turn number 2, as I was about to say it.
Yeah, and if we can go on board with the 00 here, I think you're going to see the full story, because it did look like the 00 took the air off the rear end of that number 55 machine right here. You see a little bit of a wiggle from Yazik. He had to check up just a smidgen, and there was no real place for the 00 to go. I probably credit that one to just hard racing there, but that can definitely happen. You take the air off your spoiler, get a little bit of aero loose.
Do we have an onboard of the 00, Carlos, after this? 00 Mogard again. Yeah, do it again. There's a little looseness I want to point out. I don't know if you can put it in slow motion or not when it happens. But anyways, what I was seeing was, I don't know if Peter, you can look at it, but there was a little looseness, and it wasn't any kind of contact with Yazik, but there was looseness from the 55, and as the 55 drifted up the track just a little bit, there was the slightest of contact that sent Yazik around. So I wouldn't necessarily put it on Mogard 100%.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying is, Mogard just kind of came down the racetrack, got behind Brian Yazik, and it just took the air off the rear spoiler of that number 55 machine, got him loose. He had to check up a little bit to catch the truck, and Mogard couldn't quite react to it fast enough, and that's why the contact was made, both cars going around. Like I said, I just credit that to hard racing at this type of racetrack. It's so slick out there that aerodynamic effects will come into play. But for Brian Yazik, he's going to be back in the pack. We'll have to see him charge his way through the field. We've definitely seen pace out of that 55. Should be fun and exciting for all of you viewers here on 3 Wide TV as you see all of the race cars on pit road. Nick Hurling there having to throw that 45 machine in reverse to get into his pit box. That won't be good for him. There's the 00 of Mogard getting 4 fresh tires.
He's staying on pit road here. Maybe a penalty. Claim the caution. Okay. Well, and I want to, for the record, since we're on air here, I apologize if I made it sound like that. Hey, he's not afraid to use the bumper. He might put the bumper to him. But he's a hard racer. He races clean. He's had a clean race. He usually does race clean. I mean, he rarely ever butts heads with anybody. That was just good, clean, hard racing right there. So I apologize if everything kind of came out wrong on my end. But as I looked at a closer look at what you've seen, Peter, Yazik did get loose as when he drifted up. I mean, Mogart was just holding his line, and there's not too much Mogart could do, despite if anything did happen to that 55. But he did get loose, so.
Yeah, there was just a little tiny wiggle, and Yazik had to pedal it just a smidgen. And by a smidgen, I mean it wasn't much. But those two cars getting together. But now Mogart, he has taken the penalty here,
Yes.
the end of longest line for taking credit for that caution. He said all me, which these drivers have to do here in the ASRS Maxwell Customs Truck Series. They have to, take claim for the caution if they believe that they themselves are the causer of the caution, or they're the reason for the caution. And so Mogart's taken that blame on himself, and he will be starting end of longest line back there with Brian Yazik. So basically the fastest trucks we've seen so far in this race, the 55 and the 00, will be starting at the rear end of this field. And you know what, Tanner? Neither of those trucks have any damage. They're both very fast. We'll have to keep an eye on them here, as we'll have 35 laps to go when we go back to green flag here in just about half a lap.
Absolutely. I am currently coming up for a trivia question for everybody. I haven't done it in a long time. I don't know if anybody likes the trivias or not that I do here and there, but nonetheless, I'll give you one here in a little bit. But we're going to be coming to the green flag race, and we got to catch this here. That's got to come first as always. But so with all that being said, let's reset the field for everybody. Michael Krobach for Loud Pedal Motorsports is out front. Mitch Brown in second. Jimmy McKee third. Maxwell's fourth. Will Worsler, top five. Doug Mullins, his teammate, is in sixth. Tyler Sawville in seventh. Tim Knott eighth. Alan Young's ninth. Richard Stallings running off the top 10. So we have some new players in the top 10. And coming pace cars in. And it's going to be Michael Krobach leading the way as they come to the green flag. Green flag is back up. We're rolling again.
I can tell you what, Michael Krobach didn't get wheel spin this time as he jumped out to a huge lead here going across the start-finish line. They're side by side now for the second spot between the 51 of Mitch Brown on the high side, the 31 of Jimmy McKee on the inside. And look at the number 29 of Will Worsler there. Fifth position on this restart. He's looking for positions. He started this race in the 22nd spot all the way inside the top five. Might be looking to try and take this thing 3 wide. Decides better of it. Is given the number 31 and McKee a bump trap down the backstretch as caution is out. 2 cars hard in the outside wall. Lee Staples is one of those trucks. Chris Titus, one of the others, and I believe that will be terminal for the number 26 of Lee Staples. Let's go back and see what happened here in the replay.
Yeah, so turn 2 is being a hot spot right now. Oh man, significant damage there. My goodness gracious. It's a 26 machine there of Lee Staples. We'll have to look at that one. I'm gonna have to look at that one again on my end. It just looks like the slickness of the racetrack. Oh, Staples was not really. Looks like the 04 machine bounced off the wall and came down to avoid the wall even more and just clipped that right rear core panel. But I think netcode, just a little bit of netcode was involved because there was a good foot between them guys.
Yeah, there definitely looks like there was a little bit of room between those two trucks. Also looks like the number 77, Alex Giese, was involved in that one too. So a 3-truck accident here with about 35 laps to go. We'll go on board with the number 04, and I think you'll see kind of what happened here. He washed up just a little bit on exit, got kind of close to that wall. There's a little bit of a wiggle there, and you can see when he had that wiggle, just got down close to the number 26 truck, and netcode did the rest of that one there. So unfortunate break for the Staples in the number 26 and Chris Titus, as well as Alex Giese. Giese on pit road right now trying to get as much damage repaired as possible. You've already seen that number 77 in the wall earlier in this race. You can see that right on board there. Nothing Lee Staples could have done. And there you see the 77 of Giese on pit road, getting that damage repaired like I said. There's the number 26 coming down as well.
Yeah, you know, and maybe I don't know if I mean you can agree to disagree there, Peter. But turn two, despite the slick track conditions, turn two seems more treacherous than ever. A lot of the iRacing members and community is usually used to racing on the old pavement of Michigan. Well, if you look through turns two right now, you can probably do see it. But there's that safer barrier, which kind of extends the wall further into the track. So it coming off turn two is a little more treacherous to hit the wall than having no safer barrier as you're going down that back straightaway. As you're going down that back straightaway, there's safer barriers everywhere around this track. And that kind of brings the wall a little forward inside the track just a little bit. But that's just the way it is. And this is the repaved version of Michigan, and a lot of drivers do actually like this repaved version. Me personally, I like the older pavement, but I am for the new pavement as well. But Michael Krobach currently leads the race right now. We didn't really get a good green flag lap in for the tires to settle in, so realistically, no drivers in the lead pack, at least the top 10, did not come in. So they're going to stay out there on the racetrack right now. Mogard's moved up to 18th, and Yazik's back in 23rd right now. So
Yeah,
we'll
and
wait
I was
for
gonna
those drivers.
say your top 19 stayed out on the racetrack, but 20th place on back, Jonathan Holstein, Edward Bray, Brian Yazik, Steve Buhala, Richard Fletcher all came down to take fresh tires. There you saw the number one of Jason Stewart coming down pit road. And if we can take a quick peek of that number one machine, he's sporting a Joe Nemechek throwback truck this week, reminiscent of the old Bell South machine. Good looking race truck right there. Kirkwood Transportation on the hood and on the side. Go check them out. But the pace car lights, I believe, are already off, and I think we're going to get set to go back to green flag. Quickie yellows here at Michigan International Speedway. Nice to see that.
All right, so on lap 40, since we're gonna have quick yellows here, I'll reveal this trivia question, or not to reveal the trivia question, but give the answer. Since we're driving the trucks here at Michigan, when was the first time the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series decided to race at Michigan? When was it? Was it when they first started, or when was it?
I think I know the answer to this, but
And I'm gonna add to it.
we'll wait till lap 40.
Who was the winner of that race? So you gotta find out when was the first NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series race and who won it. We're coming back to the green flag. Michael Krobach does not spin the tires again. We're back green flag racing at Michigan.
Yeah, Krobach once again, fantastic restart here. Jimmy McKee solidly in the second position for now. He's going to go up to block the number 29 of Will Worsler, who got a good restart as well. Look at Worsler. He restarted in fourth. He's trying to see if he can get third position from the number 51 of Mitch Brown to his inside. Watch for this run coming out of the corner. Everyone's going to go to the high side. Now look at the leader, Michael Krobach, kind of weaving a little bit down the backstretch, trying to break the draft. Number 51 of Mitch Brown will slot in behind the number 29 of Will Worsler. There might have been a little bit of contact there right at the end of the straightaway between Doug Mullins and the number 18 and the back bumper of the 51 of Mitch Brown. Action heating up here once again at Michigan. Oh, caution once again as I say that. We got the number 42, Jim Foose around.
Oh no, not Jim.
Don't see any damage on that Holco Enercon Toyota Tundra. Ooh, a little bit of contact there maybe with the 6th of Haggerty. Ooh, Troy Haight there doing a fantastic job of avoiding the spinning number 42 machine. You see Jim just brought that truck to a stop. Go back a little bit earlier and see if we can see what happened here as they headed off into turn number 3 and 4. Looks like those two trucks just kind of had to come in together there, going for the same real estate right in the middle of the corner. But Jim Foose did a fantastic job of keeping that truck undamaged.
He did a fantastic job. It just looked like there was some door-to-door contact right there, and man, 28 Troy Haight just avoided. Here we go. Look at this. Looked like, yeah, right there on screen. It looked like the 42 was coming down, and he just ended up dooring the 6. Boy, Troy Haight, fantastic job in avoiding Jim Foose's left rear quarter panel, because that could have taken out not only Troy Haight but Jim Foose with heavy damage. Great job on Jim Foose's part to lock it down on the apron to prevent from getting any kind of damage. I'm sure he's going to come down pit road right now. We do have some takers such as Troy Haight, and quite a few other drivers are on pit road at the moment.
And if I'm Troy Hay, man, I'm going to need a new pair of underwear after that one.
Tyler Sawville's the first driver to lead them all on pit road. That's from, I believe, 12th on back. I'm actually showing right now 15 drivers staying out on the speedway. And so we have yet to have one full complete lap of green flag racing in. So it doesn't surprise me the front runners, are staying out. Now, if anybody wants a little bit of a review on what the trivia question is for that will be revealed on lap 40, is when was the first ever race at the Michigan International Speedway for the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series, and who ended up winning that race? That will be revealed in about 5 laps.
Always enjoy the trivia questions, Tanner. They're always quite fun.
I haven't been doing them in a little while now, but looking at the fresh truck, I haven't seen anybody say anything yet. But either way, I'll get it. But they're more talking about who's claiming that caution, because these guys love this league. Of course, just talking about it. I don't know. So far, I don't know. Maybe Jim might give himself in the EOL, but he's already in the back of the pack anyways too. So. But I'm sure Jim can get back up there. Jim's a smart driver. What he did was really smart, despite wrecking. I'm not seeing any scratches. That guy kept it off of everything and everything. I mean, he was just lucky. Troy Haight and Jim Foose. Yes, all right, folks. He does give himself an EOL. So Jim is a man of his word. He really is. He's a great guy. And but back to his incident down 3 and 4, he did a fantastic job. I mean, he could have gotten annihilated from Troy Haight. Troy Haight, good job on avoiding Jim, but Jim did a smart thing, locked it down, did not hit anything. That was just smart.
Yeah, I mean, he's just gonna, live to see another day in that number 42 machine.
It ain't over yet.
It isn't over yet, and with the fact that we've had a couple cautions here, one after the other, such a slick racetrack, and now that 42 truck will be on fresh tires, he has an opportunity to now work his way back up through the field. He can really only go up from where he currently is out of there on the racetrack, but nonetheless, I don't think we've seen the last of that Hulko Intercon Menards Toyota Tundra. I'm sure Jim appreciates getting in the Menards plugs. Menards. Sometimes you have to count how many times Jim actually says Menards in an interview. Or goes to Menards. He seems like he's at Menards every other day. But nonetheless, 27 laps to go this time by, and pace car lights are still on. So it looks like we'll have a 26 lap shootout here once we get back to green flag racing. And Michael Krobach up there keeping that number 72 nice and clean. Some fantastic restarts recently to get himself ahead of all the trouble. I'm sure we'll see that again as he tries to keep the rest of the field on their toes for when he decides to hit the loud pedal on these restarts. And you and I know, Tanner, that's a game we drivers like to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And he's going to have to, Michael Krobach is going to have to start playing some even more. He's been playing mind games, but he's going to have to play some more mind games here, because I think a truck that's going to challenge him, that's fast enough. Man, Jim McKee's fast, but you got to keep your eye out for Will Wursler. Man, he's come from 22nd to 3rd. We know he's fast. He's a good qualifier. This week he just had an EOL penalty due to the past penalty from last week's penalty report. So Will Wursler's making himself known in that Slyce Chevrolet with Perky Pints on it. Got to give those guys a shout out, because Slyce is sponsoring the race here, presented by Perky Pints. It is a Slyce 125. Michael Krobach, Jim McKee, Will Wursler, Mitch Brown, Doug Mullins, the top 5. Sam Maxwell, Richard Stallings, Tim Knott, Dylan Hickey, and Jared Haggerty, rounding out the top 10 right now. A little bit of an update on Jared Mogart. He is up to 12th. Brian Yazik is up to 21st. And I do believe that's kind of it for the update right now. Pete Baskins, who was involved in an earlier first caution, he's back in 20th. So we're going to get going, ready to go. The only driver 6 laps down, or multiple laps down, leads Staples. Otherwise, 27 trucks remain on the speedway right now. Here we go. Pace cars going to be back down into pit road, waiting for Michael Krobach and the number 72 HPP Simulation Chevrolet back green flag racing at Michigan.
Here, and there he goes again. early on the loud pedal, scoots away from the back of the number 29, Will Worsler. Worsler got a good restart once again. Worsler's been fantastic on these restarts, gaining yet another position as that number 29 machine now sits second from 22nd on the grid up to second with 26 laps to track down the number 72 of Michael Krobach in front of him. Krobach once again breaking the draft down the backstretch, or basically side by side from about the 8th position on back. We're 3 wide going off into the corner. Double zero Mogard on the inside groove, putting the number 2 of Dylan Hickey in the middle. Mogard's going to make that move from 11th to the 8th position in 1 lap. Mogard back inside the top 10.
Hey, man, Mogard, he's hunting, man. He's being aggressive out there, but he's doing it cleanly. He is all alone. He's cracked the top 10. He's back in 8th place right now. And I bet you he's be able to catch the top, at least the top 2 drivers before this thing's over, because he's got a huge run right now on Richard Stallings, as there's a battle between Tim Knott and Dylan Hickey. But here comes Mogard. We got a battle for the top spot, I believe. Will Worsler looking around the outside, cannot complete the pass, but he might get the run on Krobach. Jimmy McKee on the inside. They might decide to split Krobach. What's Krobach going to do? Ooh, Krobach had no choice but to cut off Jimmy McKee, because here comes Will Worsler trying to get it on the outside. McKee's going to try to take him 3 wide. We're looking 3 wide for the top spot. Oh,
the number 31, the 31 and McKee wisely backed out of it there on the entry, but look at the 29 of Worsler going around the outside, the longer way around the racetrack. You're able to keep that momentum up out there, but look at that red maroon truck just there on the right side of your picture. That's Mogard. Just looking now at this battle for the race lead. Worsler backs out of it as they go off into turn number 3. Worsler's going to try and do the over-under here. Gets a good run through the center of turns 3 and 4. And now it's to the inside of Michael Krobach, side-by-side here at the stripe. They're side-by-side for the race lead. They're also side-by-side for second, with the 51 of Mitch Brown now to the outside of Jimmy McKee.
The racing action is more important than my trivia. I'll get to that when we have the time. But right, that top spot is now Will Worsler's top spot as Jimmy McKee battles Mitch Brown side by side, almost dooring as they go down the back straightaway. Jimmy McKee's going to have to give just a little more room than that, and I'm sure he's just trying to use side drafting. Don't know how well that's working, but he's still battling. It is tough battling for the top 4 spots right now. Richard Stallings battling back in the pack with Doug Mullins. Jared Mogard. Here comes Mogard. He wants to join that fray. He's battling with Sam Maxwell, but that battle for the race lead is not over yet, because here comes Krobach on the inside of Will Worsler. Will is trying to hold on to that top spot. He wants to run. It's not going to happen. Krobach takes the top spot once again.
Yeah, and what happened was there just the lap ago was Krobach got the number 29 a little bit of arrow loose coming out of turn number 4, and that number 29 washed up the racetrack just a little bit, and that allowed Krobach to get back around him. But now let's see if Worsler can repay the favor. Going around the high side once again, didn't get a good run coming out of turn number 4. Here comes Jimmy McKee. McKee got a fantastic run there. Look at Mitch Brown down there below the apron, and as always, Jared Mogard now lurking just inside the top 10, looking at the 4 trucks right in front of him, all battling for the top spot right behind him. Look at this battle. We got Sam Maxwell, Doug Mullins, and Richard Stallings there. Could throw a blanket over those 3 trucks as they head down the back stretch. Ooh. Sam Maxwell having a good run in that Sam Maxwell Customs truck, and he's going to maintain that 6th position at least for now.
Mind games have already started between the top 4 drivers right now. Krobach threw a little bit of a block down the back straightaway. Will Worsler stalled out Worsler's momentum coming off the corner of the racetrack. Worsler's still trying to figure it out. McKee's really one trying to figure out where the heck he's going to place his truck, because he's got Mitch Brown on his right rear quarter panel. And this 4-car battle is now going to turn into a 5-car battle. Let's just hope this does not turn into a recipe of a 5-car wreck.
And look at the number 29, Will Worsler got a good run coming out of turn number 2. Got a little bit of help from Jimmy McKee with a little bit of draft from behind. They're side by side heading off into turn number 3. Worsler still using that high line. He's favoring that higher groove here around this joint, which is usually the line you want to be in if your truck is a little bit loose, just because there's a little bit larger radius, but unable to get that lead just yet. They're side by side once again at the line with now 19 laps to go.
19 laps to go, and it is getting hairy between the top 5 cars right now. Krobach, Worsler, Mogard, McKee, and Brown battling all in the top 5 spot for the top spot here at Michigan. It is such awesome battling. There's much battling behind these cats, but these guys are really going at it for that top spot. They're up and down. It's multi-groove track racing. Mogard's trying to get under McKee. Mogard got past Brown. Brown's going to have to try to figure out maybe he can do something. Almost door-to-door between McKee and Mogard for third place, almost dooring each other. McKee's got to be careful here because he's about to be put 3 wide right now because he's got Brown on his right rear quarter panel. Meanwhile, while those guys are going at it, Marshall's trying to find that run in that middle groove of the racetrack to get the run on Krobach. He has not succeeded yet. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and don't look now, but Brian Yazik's worked his way up to the 8th position. And Brian Yazik actually has fresher tires than all of the trucks in front of him by a few laps. Only about 2 green flag laps, however. But at least on the lap count, there's about 8 laps between them. Yazik getting really close with Doug Mullins there as this battle for the race lead is still going on. Oh, sparks flying out the right side of that number 51 machine. Action everywhere inside the top 10. Everywhere you look, there's some kind of battle for position as the number 51 now going to the outside of 31. There's a fantastic battle for 4th, and there's a fantastic battle for 7th.
Boy, Mogard. Right there, too. Jimmy McKee does the same thing to Mitch Brown, but when McKee did the Brown, Mogard did the McKee off of turn number 4, just chopped the nose right off to kill the momentum. And unfortunately, you have to lift or you will sprint the guy out. Here comes Mogard, huffing and puffing, pushing the pressure on Michael Krobach, as Will Worsler's got a little bit of a gap with Michael Krobach right now, and Worsler is out front.
Yeah, it's gone back to single file, at least for now, up at the front. But like I said just a few laps ago, keep an eye on this number 55 truck. He just got around the number 98 of Sam Maxwell. And that HPP Simulations 55 machine, Mitch Brown got really loose, yes. As you were saying, Tanner, all the way down to the apron on the backstretch. But Yazik is moving in that number 55 machine. It'll be interesting to see now that he's got a little bit of clean air on the nose of that HPP Simulations. Tundra gets a little bit sideways coming through 3 and 4 as I say that. But here comes Jimmy McKee underneath Jared Mogard. And here comes Michael Krobach back underneath the number 29 of Will Worsler.
Man, oh man, we got battling all over the place right now. Krobach, Worsler, McKee, Mogard. Mogard drifts up the track to let McKee go. I'm sure Mogard's going to eventually get back to him. Will Worsler gets passed by Michael Krobach, but he comes right up to the back bumper as they go down the back straightaway. Krobach trying to play a little bit of a defense. Will Worsler's trying to play offense in a clean way as they head down into turn number 3 and 4. But look at this. It brought McKee and Mogard back up to Worsler's back bumper. It was a 5-car pack, down decreased to a 4-car pack of racing for the top spot.
Absolute fantastic battle for this top spot. Look at Brian Yazik. He's closing in on the back bumper of the number 51 of Mitch Brown. That would be a battle for the 5th position here. Mitch Brown, of course, got really loose just a few laps ago, lost a lot of track position on the front 4. And now that 55 is hunting him down, but look at that 4-car tandem up at the front. Look at this 3 wide, a little bit further back in the pack. Sam Maxwell, Doug Mullins, and Richard Stalling. Stalling has to back out of it, but Sam Maxwell under fire now. In fact, Maxwell, last time he crossed the line, he was in 7th, and he's fallen now back to the 9th position, I do believe. And so Maxwell, Tyler Seville in that number 11 machine, he hit the wall, and look, we have a side-by-side battle now for 5th.
We do, and that's Brian Yazik, Mitch Brown. Well, Mitch Brown did get really loose earlier, and that allowed Yazik to reel him in. And Yazik's trying to get by Mitch Brown for this position. Once he does, man, I'm sure Yazik's going to be the 5th driver to join this fray of trucks to battle for the top spot, but it looks like McKee's kind of falling off just a little bit from the top 3. So far, the top 3 nose to tail is Krobach, Worsler, and Mogard.
I'm just going to go out in here and say this. This has been possibly the most fantastic race we've had so far this season. We've had a couple good ones, but this one is shaping up to be a thriller, folks. So stay here on 3 Wide TV. Here's this battle now for fifth position. Brian Yazik has got around that number 51, has cleared him. And he's trying to set his sights on the trucks in front of him. Jimmy McKee scraping the wall coming out of turn number 2. Sparks flying, and that definitely hurt the run he got coming out of that corner. You can see that gap growing to now the 3 trucks in front of him, and they're side by side once again, still for the race lead. Krobach had to roll out of it there just a little bit to allow Worsler to come up the racetrack.
Yeah, Worsler got around Krobach there. Kind of had to force it just a little bit to try to get that grip that you want, and maybe Krobach wouldn't be too happy about that. But here comes Krobach. Oh, he had to lift the truck. He wanted to get underneath there, but he had to lift the truck. As soon as he lifted the truck, Worsler came and took advantage of it and took away the line. So right now, Will Worsler's up towards the front. Krobach playing just a little bit of defense, trying to break the draft just a little bit, as he's got Krobach sitting on his bumper right now in the 3rd spot. But now, since we're single file, we can catch our breaths just a little bit here, and since we're getting really excited for this finish here, because these drivers are set up for a photo finish. Oh, Krobach may have actually slapped the wall off of turn number 4. At least if he's still running good, so he may have just kissed it. But back to the, since everything's calmed down a little bit, let's go for that trivia question here. When was the first race for the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Truck Series, and who won it? The answer is 1999. And the winner of that race was Greg Biffle. The race took place on July 24th, 1999, and Greg Biffle ended up winning that race after starting 11th. But nonetheless, here at Michigan right now in the Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series, we are setting up for a photo finish eventually, because the top 3 drivers who are fast and been fast practically all race long has been Worsler, who started 22nd, but technically an EOL penalty from the penalty report sent him to the rear of the field. And you got Michael Krobach, who's been practically there all race long, and as well as Jared Mogard, who actually got an incident contact point, EOL penalty for making contact with Yazik. He said it was all me, man, my bad. And he's raced himself back up there into the 3rd position. That's the top 3 drivers right now. There's more action all over the racetrack still right now that's going on. Majority of the drivers are side-by-side. There's some side-by-side battling with Richard Stallings back here, with Dylan Hickey and Jonathan Holstein for position.
And while you're mentioning that, Tanner, Brian Yazik has got around Jimmy McKee. So move Yazik up into the 4th position. And you were mentioning it just a second ago. The 00 and the 55 already have had a little bit of contact here tonight. And now they're back together on the racetrack here with 8 laps to go.
I don't know what's running through the mind of Yazik right now, but I'm sure he's going to race it clean. But the time will do tell. But Yazik got around McKee. He got around Brown. He's now gaining on Mogard, and we know Yazik has been gaining on Mogard, because when they were battling for that top spot, Yazik actually got around Mogard for it. But here comes Yazik right now, side by side with Jared Mogard. What is going to happen here between these two cats? I'm assuming nothing's going to happen, but you never know. As a race fan, you just never know. As Yazik cleanly gets around Jared Mogard, turns 1 and 2. Mogard does not do the same thing what he did earlier, getting up to the back bumper. It looks like Mogard doesn't have the momentum right now to do anything, so he's riding in the draft of Brian Yazik as they go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and Will Worsler, ladies and gentlemen, is starting to check out. He's been one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack. Last time by, looking at the fastest laps out there, Brian Yazik was the fastest truck, and Michael Krobach and Will Worsler ran pretty equivalent lap times. We'll see how that changes this time by. In fact, you can see that lap difference there. Will Worsler at 42.3 essentially to Michael Krobach's 42.883. So last time by, Worsler a half second faster than Krobach. And here comes Yazik. I mean, Yazik here late in this run. Yazik has a few laps fresher tires. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Yazik definitely putting those fresher tires to use here. Starting to close in on that HPP Simulation Chevy Silverado right in front of him. But don't look now, but the 00 Mogard hasn't gone anywhere. He actually, I think, just got the 55 of Yazik a little bit arrow loose, and he's going to get a run underneath him here with now 5 laps to go.
Yeah, Yazik, I thought was running consistent lap times with Worsler despite trying to get around another truck, and he was. But right now, it looks like Mogard just has that run, and it's another heavy-duty battle between Mogard and Yazik as they come off turn number 2. Looks like Mogard had a good run to the corner of the racetrack. I thought Yazik would have a better run on the higher line. Mogard pretty strong on that inside line there, as Mogard will get around Yazik. Will Yazik come back and try to do something for a crossover move? So far, he looks like he just can't at the moment. So Yazik may have just slapped the wall just a little bit coming off the corner of the racetrack. I'm gonna have to double check and make sure. Yeah, I do believe so.
Yeah,
Yazik,
there's definitely right side damage to that number 55 machine, so we'll have to see how that all plays out, but at least for now, Mogard slots back into the 3rd position, going a little bit further back. This is a battle between the number 6 of Jared Haggerty, and you see Haggerty wiggling just a little bit in the corner. Troy Hay underneath him. This is another battle. 42 trying to get around the number 41. That's Jim Foose and Tim Knott knotted up on the racetrack there, going halfway down the back stretch.
Pretty good recovery for Jim Foose. He got an EOL penalty himself, and he started 17th, and right now he's battling for 16th right now. So pretty good recovery on Jim Foose's part, as we are now 3 laps to go here at Michigan International Speedway. Worsler, Krobach, Mogard, McKee, Brown, the top 6 drivers. Mullins, Maxwell, Sawville, Haggerty, remaining the top 10.
Yeah, good battle just outside the top 10 between the number 17 of Richard Stallings and Troy Haight, riding on board with that number 17 right now. We'll see if Stallings can go underneath Troy Haight. He's going to sail it off into turn number 3, open his own door. They're side by side now for that position. Troy Haight up there on the high side, trying to hold. Oh, we got a car flipping through the air. My goodness, I don't know who that was.
41, I think. Tim Knott, maybe. What? I thought it was a purple truck. It was a purple truck.
Doug Mullins.
Yeah, the 18.
And we will have a green-white checker, so this changes everything. And you see he got into the outside wall and got flung up. Oof, Holstein had nowhere to go.
That overcorrection really cost Mullins. He was coming off turn number 4. He did get loose, yes. When he got loose, he jolted his steering wheel to the right, and it just went to the outside wall and went high above the air, as you can see. Man, Richard Stall, and who is that? Oh my goodness, who went underneath? Somebody went right underneath. Richard Stallings and Troy Hay, maybe?
Yeah,
Troy Hay would be a good one.
I was watching that battle between Troy Hay and Richard Stallings, and out of the corner of my eye, I just see something flying through the air as we run on board with Troy Hay. See you later, buddy. As he scoots underneath that flying number 18 truck. Tough luck there for Doug Mullins in that Slyce Pizza Bar Toyota Camry. Of course, trying to get a good finish for Slyce Pizza Bar in the Slyce 125. Riding on board with Jonathan Holstein. And, oof, man.
Oy! Man, I could have taken our camera.
I cannot believe he got away with no damage on that machine. That is unbelievably incredible. Definitely count your blessings after that one. Might need a new pair of underwear, however. But nonetheless, this is going to be a green-white checker. And all these leaders will be coming down pit road, I do believe. There's no way you can stay out here.
You got to take tires.
You have to come down and take tires. The question is going to be 4 or 2. What are you going to do here? I got to say, I would think 4. I don't think 4. There is any way of taking 2 here. 2 tires tends to loosen up your truck. We've already seen these trucks really loose here tonight, but only time will tell what these drivers do, as the number 29, Will Worcester, will head down into his pit box. Perfect
for Will Worcester, the race leader. Man, I tell you what, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to sound negative, but taking 2 tires would be a death sentence, because you have to run 2 laps on a green-white checkered. So let's say 4 tires is on for Will Worcester as he comes out of his pit road. 51 of Mitch Brown, the pole sitter, had to back up to readjust his pit line. That's going to cost him at least a second on pit road and lose valuable spots, as you have Worcester, Probach, Mogard, McKee, and another driver I'm not seeing in that list is Brian Yazik. You have McKee, Jonathan Holstein, Alex Kesey, Tyler Sawville, Sam Maxwell. What happened to Brian Yazik that he lost all them valuable positions?
Yeah, he just he slid through his pit box, had to throw it into reverse, and I think when he threw it into reverse first time round, he didn't get into his pit box, had to throw it into reverse once again, and finally was able to get in his pit box. That's absolute heartbreak for Yazik as he worked his way through the field after going around early in this race, worked his way back into the top 3, and now is going to be mired back in the pack for this restart. Same thing with Mitch Brown. Easy for me to say. He came onto pit road in the 6th position, and now he's going to be stuck way back in the pack as he missed his pit box. So some drama late here at Michigan International Speedway. Pace car lights are still on. We'll see if they go off here when they go across the start-finish line. Looks like Chris Titus will take the wave around. Nope, pace car lights will stay on. We'll see if we can talk to the number 29. Tanner, I think you have the opportunity to dial him up.
Yes, sir. Attempting to dial him up on here on my computer here. Trying to find where the heck he is on my end here. Got to dial up Mr. Will Worsler. And Will Worsler, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, you've had a very eventful race after starting from the tail end, Charlie, after the penalty report on the EOL, but you find yourself the race leader. You probably did not want the caution to come out whatsoever because that takes the fast guys like Krobach, Mogart, and they're going to be riding your back bumper and trying to take that lead away from you, man. What are you going to be able to do since your strategy on being out front and that caution just kind of ruined everything for you, I guess you could say?
Yeah, man, I definitely invented some Yosemite Sam style cuss words in my own head there when it come out. But I'm just gonna try to get a good start here and not lift until it's over. Okay?
Not lift till it's over, because you can run flat foot around this joint for about 2 laps-ish until the truck starts getting really loose if you're really trying to push it, but you have no choice but to push it. How is the handling of the truck overall in this race? It looks like it's very loose conditions, very much like how the NASCAR iRacing Truck Series and official races have been going here on the simulation, but is it looser or just extremely loose?
It's been very, very loose. I mean, it's not, untenable. I mean, you've definitely got to negotiate with it and know what you're doing to get around fast, So, I mean, I don't think you should hold me to that promise of not lifting. It's going to be a negotiation.
Well, I can't negotiate with you any further here because we just received the 1 to go here at Michigan. Best of luck to you up towards the front, and hopefully you can hold them off.
Appreciate it.
That's Will Worsler, folks. He's the race leader right now. We gotta move Will back down to where he came from here, but back to his team. But yeah, we're gonna be going back green here.
Yeah, and we don't unfortunately have the green-white checker graphic.
No.
But that's something that will be worked on here over the next few weeks. In fact, I believe there's a beta for a TVO for the green-white checker graphics. So we're going to be working on that beta, seeing if we can integrate that here into 3-wide TV over the next few weeks, see how it all works out. Hopefully that beta can get through the beta stage quickly and get to the full release so we can have those green-white checker graphics. But I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, 2 laps to go this time by.
2 laps to go, and bear with us with all that beta stuff with the green-white checker. We will tell you, of course, everything that's going on here on 3-Wide TV of what you're watching, Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series at Michigan, Slyce 125, and how fitting for Will Worsler to possibly go to victory lane. He's on the loud pedal in that Slyce machine. We're back. Green flag racing is tough. Side-by-side battle between Krobach and Mogart. Mogart does beat into the line, but it is fair game right now.
Yeah, and we've seen Krobach have a few sleepers here tonight on these restarts. Once again, he is going to slide back just a little bit. He's now side-by-side with the 31 at Jim McKee, but here comes Mogart in the 00, drafting up underneath the number 29, gets a little bit sideways, coming out of the corner, showing his nose underneath that 29 here halfway down the backstretch. 1.5 laps to go, 3 miles around this joint. 29 sails it off into turn number 3 and 4. He starts to wash up just a little bit. Here comes Mogart coming underneath that number 29 machine. They're side by side with the white flag in the flagman's hand.
side by side as they come to the start-finish line. It's Mogard on the white flag. If anything happens right now, the race is not over. They race it back to the checkered. They do not throw the caution. What is Will Worsler going to do? Can he gain the run back on Mogard? Mogard strong off of turn number 2. There is an accident in the back of the pack. It's involving Sam Maxwell. Brian Yazik is able to get through it as they go down in turn number 3. Is Mogard, Worsler, Krobach, McKee. What is Worsler going to do? Is he going to put the bumper to him? Is he going to shake him out of the way? I don't think he's got strong enough momentum. Here comes Will Worsler. To the left, to the right, and it's Mogard who's on the line on the finish.
And ladies and gentlemen, Jared Mogard goes back to victory lane here in the Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series. My oh my, what a move he put on Will Worsler. And I'll tell you what, Will had a run. He just couldn't get that truck low enough underneath the 00 to try and make that move. Credit to Will for checking up a little bit, not initiating any contact. But Mogard timed his move perfectly there, going through turn 3 and 4. But for Will Worsler, a bridesmaid here tonight, finishing second position after leading pretty much the last half of the race. I know that's just going to be an absolute shot to the gut. Ooh, look at Brian Yazik. I think Yazik's saying, hey, buddy, I remember that contact between us.
Yeah.
But for Mogard, he is going to get the checkered flag here tonight. Doing donuts down in victory lane.
The 55 made it through. Brian Yazik made through an incredible wreck on the back straightaway with the I think it was Sam Maxwell, Dylan Hickey in the number 2. I think Maxwell's already in the wall, and there's an accident on the back straightaway. Yazik just went right through the middle. But,
yeah, we'll see if we can.
Racing.
We'll see if maybe we can dial up that last accident. We'll see if we can get a replay here. Happened on the last lap.
It was Maxwell in the wall off turn number 2.
Lap number 68, if that helps, production truck.
Here we go. I have my screen up here.
But it was a multi-truck accident there after the last lap. 4 or 5 trucks getting involved. Here we go. So there's the contact with the outside wall, and then it was pretty much on from there. A bunch of trucks. Look at the 51 there. Mitch Brown hard in the inside wall. Get that opening. What could have been?
Will we be having an onboard of the 55 machine? Possible. 55. He's right in the middle of the HPP simulation, fishtailing off turn number 2 right here. You would have to kind of replay it there, but he'll get our production truck will get it right here. Here we go. Here's Brian Yazik. You're going to have a truck in the wall off of turn number 2, and then it's all going to come down towards the inside of the racetrack. Oh! That's a close call, but he did pick up positions for it, obviously. And here comes Jim Foose for a position on Yazik, and what a recovery by Jim Foose. He gets through all that melee and gets a 9th out of it. Brian Yazik 10th.
I'm sure Jim Foose will be happy to come away with a top 10 finish here tonight after he was spun around here about halfway through the race.
Oh, that's very unfortunate for Mitch Brown, too. Mitch Brown, I thought, was having a very decent day.
And you know what, Tanner, it all goes back to that pit stop. He just missed his pit box just a little bit, which put him back into this mess. And it shows small little errors that can sometimes really, really cost you. And it did here tonight for Mitch.
It definitely did, as we're showing the replays still yet of the accident that took place on the last lap right now. Jim Foose on board with him. Accidents occurring. He just decided to take the apron, found the opening, and here comes Brian Yazik as he's entering the 3rd corner, and he's just going to take advantage of the situation, and he's going to drive himself up to a 9th place finish.
Yeah, I don't think that number 42 machine ever lifted. He was just going for the gap and got all he could from it. So a good way to finish. But we will leave you here temporarily while we go through some of these replays. But let's watch this battle for 3rd. A production truck saying, keep an eye on this. This is the number 72 of Krobach and the number 31 of Jimmy McKee. And this position did end up going to the number 72 there by 3/100ths of a second at the line. Michael Krobach getting the last podium position here tonight. Jimmy McKee continuing that good run, with the exception of Eldora last week, with another 4th place finish. But we will step away for just a brief moment while we get some of these drivers lined up for interviews. We'll be talking to Michael Krobach, Will Wursler, Jared Mogard here in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Michigan International Speedway. I'm Peter Short, and joining me here tonight for the commentary was Tanner Sharp, but we're going to go down and talk to your top 3 finishers and also get to talk to Jim Foose here in just a minute. But I have caught up with driver of the number 72. That would be Michael Krobach. And Michael, what an absolute crazy night for you in that number 72 machine. Led a decent number of laps, led 21 to be exact. Definitely showed pace there at the end, but it just wasn't quite to be for you tonight. But definitely looked like a pretty fun and exciting, slick racetrack out there. Tell us a little bit about your night from your perspective.
Yeah, Peter, it was a really fun night in the number 72 HPP simulation, clipping that Apex Chevy Silverado. Don't get to run a lot of these truck races, but wanted to squeeze one more in before I'm off to New York for a while. So yeah, we had a good qualifying run. I thought we'd get the pole there, but Mitch Brown pipped us there at the end. And me and Brian were just trying to settle into a rhythm, save that right rear tire, because that thing was real slick on the long run. And that middle run there with Will, I thought we had a shot, but he saved his tire a little bit better, and he got around me there. Will and I race really clean, really respectfully. He's an awesome driver. I love battling with him. I know that he's not going to do anything silly, and we'll always have a great run. So I thought, it'd be 1-2. I was happy there with second. Wanted to win. It's one of my home tracks, being from Canada. But then that caution there at the end, the green-white checker, that kind of put us behind. I thought we had a good restart, but didn't put fuel in it at the end, and we were just a little bit too tight. Helped with the grip, but just wouldn't turn there. Didn't have a really good run to get back up to first.
Absolutely. And, another thing that I saw out of a couple drivers here tonight was both aero push and aero looseness. How was that from your perspective? Because it seemed like some drivers were playing games out there trying to loosen up the truck in front of them by kind of cutting back behind them through the center of the corner.
Yeah, I was just trying to run a pretty conservative race there. I wasn't trying to get anybody really aero loose. Just trying to get, save my right rear tire. And at the end of the race there, I was trying to experiment with some lines that my teammate Brian Yazik in the 55 was telling me about. He was trying to drive it in a bit shallower, a bit deeper in the corner, and that helped a little bit. We gained a couple laps on Will, and then I tried a Kyle Larson line there. That worked a little bit for a couple laps, gained a couple tenths, and then I got real loose off a 2 all on my own, and that kind of just killed the run. But at the end there, we weren't close enough to really get aero loose. Just that right rear tire, man.
Absolutely. It's a 2-mile D-shaped oval like Michigan, and you kind of said this is one of your home tracks. Is Michigan one of the racetracks that you enjoy coming to as a sim racer?
I love anything that gets loose. I really don't like tight race cars. So I love setups that burn the right rear off. I love saving tire. So Michigan, Homestead, just running that high line, trying to save tire. It's one of my favorite things to do here on the iRacing service, and it puts on a good show for the fans.
Absolutely, it does. Tonight was a spectacular show, and next week there'll be another spectacular show as we go to the Bristol Motor Speedway. I know, Michael, you've kind of run a part-time truck schedule this year, but will we be able to see you running the high banks of Bristol next week?
Unfortunately not. I did win there a couple years ago in our number it was number 7 at the time HPP truck. But we will be away for work for about 6 weeks. But I'll be back in ASRS in the end of September. So look for the 72 HPP truck back on track then.
All right. Well, before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, I got to thank my teammate, Scott Eckridge. Scott Eckridge chassis. This truck was just running flawless all night. Brian Yasek there, my teammate in the 55. Awesome strategy and teamwork there. And all our partners there on our team for Loud Pedal Motorsports, HPP, Clipping That Apex, Fleximation Systems, Canadian Mini, Indy, House Venom. And if I forgot anybody, I'll get them next time when we park this thing in Victory Lane.
Absolutely. And we want to give a shout-out to Scott because he was in the chat here tonight, chatting us up for pretty much the good portion of tonight's race. But nonetheless, Michael, we hope to see you back on track soon. And until then, best of luck.
Thanks very much, Peter. Have a good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your third place finisher here tonight, the number 72 of Michael Krobach. And I do believe that Tanner Sharp has caught up with your second place finisher here tonight, the number 29 of Will Worsler.
I've caught up with Will Worsler here. Sorry. Okay. I didn't know who was moving who. But anyways, Will Worsler, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, we're flip-flopping drivers here like crazy here right now. But Will Worsler, we talked to you before that green flag came out, man. And boy, but you had your hands full there. You really couldn't stop the momentum of Jared Mogard. If you had to do anything different, would you have done anything different? And then final portion of the race there, or what would you have done differently?
Well, I would have lifted going into 3 on the second, the next to last lap. I didn't take into account that it had gotten hotter. It's like now that after the race, I can see it's like 5 degrees hotter than it was when it started. So it was a little slicker than I anticipated, and I should have backed off and got a run out of the corner, which is exactly what Mogard did to get around me. And it worked out for him. Circumstances worked out for him, didn't for me, and that's the way it goes sometimes. So I've had it work out for me plenty of times.
Yeah, but you still get a solid second place after starting 22nd. How was it getting through traffic overall in this race despite the caution flag? Was it a difficult task despite the loose handling of a race truck with the track temperature? Or, I mean, how just was it for you overall in this race?
It seemed like, especially in my first portion of the race, it seemed like that everybody had speed the first 5 laps. And then around lap 7 or 8, I started picking up spots and was wanting to stay green, and I'd get a caution here and there and pick up a spot here and there. But the longer it stayed green, the more it helped me out. And it was definitely a tricky race. It was very fun. I take it like this every week. I hate tight setups. I like it when you got to drive off the right rear.
Yeah, you got to drive it off that right rear, and the loose. That's extremely loose right there. But Will, looking into the future, I'm going to throw 2 questions here at you. So if you need me to repeat them, let me know. The first question is the next race on the Truck Series side is Bristol on August 13th. It is the first start of the playoffs, first race of the playoffs. And the second question is what track is circled on your calendar in the playoffs that you're really looking forward to? You have Bristol, Mosport, Las Vegas, Talladega, Lucas Oil, Phoenix, or Homestead.
I would say, I don't know, I'd probably say Las Vegas. I feel like I usually do well there, but we'll see. I plan on doing well in all of them. From this point out, it's up to me to make sure that I'm prepared for like the Mosport. I've never even raced. I don't even think I own that track, so I'm gonna have to make sure I'm prepared for each one of these each week. As you can see, it's a tough field, and some of these guys, Mogard, Krobach, Yazek, they're always fast, and if I have any plans on beating any of them any week, I've got to make sure I'm up on my game, and that's what I'm going to do.
Well, you got your last win. Now it's at Kentucky, and that was a 1.5 mile racetrack, and Las Vegas is a 1.5 mile racetrack. So you obviously like the 1.5 mile courses, of course. But how do you feel about Bristol coming up as the start of the playoffs there? It's a short track. We all know what Bristol is like as a race fan and NASCAR fans in general. What's your opinion about Bristol, and can you keep the momentum going on your end?
Bristol used to be one of my best tracks, and then I was absent for a couple of builds, and I came back, and it's not one of my best tracks anymore. So that's one of them that I definitely got to brush up on. But I feel confident that I can figure it out once again and find my mojo, get it to working for me, and hopefully be able to do.
All right. Well, we do understand you have a couple of shout outs you would like to give on your end. We'll let you do that.
Yeah, I need to thank my new teammates, Doug Mullins and Tyler Seville, and my sponsors, Perky, Pints, and Slyce, and my wife and my friend Craig Staggs for watching my races every week and give me the support I need. I feel like I let them down tonight, but I know I let my wife down because I heard she threatened me in the chat after I lost. So
I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know if she threatened to punch me or cut me, or she texted me and said she's going to cut me. So I got to deal with that when I get off here. But I'm hoping to be around next week. Maybe it won't be a life-threatening wound. So.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us here this evening. Best of luck with you in the playoffs, of course, and in a couple weeks at Bristol. I believe it's next week at Bristol. But best of luck to you then.
Yeah, appreciate it. You too, guys. Good job, 3 Wide TV, guys. Love 3.
That was Will Wursler there, folks, who finishes in the second position tonight on course for a victory. And now we're going to go one up to Jared Mogar, and I do believe Peter Short has caught him down in victory lane.
That I have. Driver in the number 00 machine had to go all the way to the back of the field after some contact early on with Brian Yazet, but that number 00 worked his way up through the field and got to the front right at the end when it mattered with that green-white checker. And Jared, it looks like you just backed out of it on entry into turn number 3 just a little bit more than Will Wursler was able to get underneath that number 29 machine, get the power down, and power on pass Will right there at the end. But before you tell us about that finish, tell us about the race from your perspective.
It was tricky. That sucker was loose tonight, so it was fun. I don't know. We had a good truck. We went from 6th to 2nd there right off the start, and had a really good truck there. Then Yazik got up there, and like you said, I honestly, I don't know if I made contact with him. I didn't get anything on my screen, but it looked like it might have been a little bit of net code or something. But definitely, I think something caused him to spin off of my truck. So we took the call on that one. Felt it was the right thing to do. Wasn't trying to do that. Got a little loose, and I figured he was going to slide up the track a little bit more, and we could get under him. And that didn't happen, and we made contact. So went to the back, and yeah, we just worked our way up to the front there. Or back up to the front. Had a few quick yellows where people pitted, just stayed out, and it looked like we were going to finish 3rd there, and then we got the green light checkered, and we took 4 tires there, and I knew we were really good in 3. I knew we could cut it under, like we were able to do better than everybody else. So I was hoping I could just be close enough to him, and I got a pretty good run out of 2 on him. And like I said, he drifted up about the center of 3, and we were able to cut it down like I knew we could, and got underneath him, and we were able to hold him off. Thought I gave it away in 2 in the final lap there. I got a little tight. Figured he was going to get a run on me, but he really didn't. We were able to hang on and get the win.
Absolutely, and of course, this is the last race before the playoffs. Next week, we got Bristol, and you and I know anything can happen at Bristol. But going into the playoffs, you have a good amount of momentum. You missed last week, Eldora, but you got the win here tonight. What's your outlook for your next 3 races for the playoffs? Because they're going to be 3 very interesting races. We got Bristol, Canadian Tire, aka Mosport, and then Las Vegas in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I told the boys back at the shop that we're in playoff mode from here on out, so probably going to be a little bit more quieter and a little bit more focused, and it worked tonight. Got a little lucky, but it worked tonight. Playoffs, you got to be on your game. We were able to get the win tonight, got the 3 extra bonus points going into it, which is good. It's playoffs, and everybody gets nervous with the pressure. I like the pressure. It seems like I always perform a lot better under pressure. So I'm looking forward to it. The downfall is, just like last year, I am going to miss 1 race, and it is the final race of this first round. Just prior commitments same as last year. It always happens. So basically, it's a 2-race round to try and get enough points to be able to still advance to the next round, and then get after it. So Bristol will be sketchy. And then Canadian Tire, I think we finished 5th or 6th or something last year. I'm not a road course guy, but we put a lot of time and effort into it last year. So we'll probably do the same again this year and see where we can end up. Hopefully get a top 5 out of it. And like I said, just hope we got big enough point lead and try and luck ourselves into that next round and get on it after that.
Absolutely. That's going to be all 12 drivers' goal is to try and get themselves into the round of 8. 4 drivers will be eliminated after Las Vegas, and hopefully for you, Jared, it won't be you. But, got Bristol, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park coming up, and those should be fun races here over the next 2 weeks here on 3 Wide TV. But before we let you go, you got any shout-outs for us?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can remember them all, it's been a while. Buffalo Bar Grill out of Greenwood, South Carolina. I Buy Power Computers, Twitchy Race Reports, and I think that's everybody. I think I need more sponsors. So if there's anybody out there that's looking to sponsor SMC, get a hold of me. We're open to options. Everybody on MOSRN, they've been killing it. They were able to get the win last week after some post-race stuff there. So congrats to them guys. They're keeping it rolling when I'm not around, and we're just looking forward to being back for the rest of the year, other than obviously the 1 week coming up there. But we'll be here the rest of the year. Looking forward to it, and it's playoff time, so I enjoy it. It's gonna be fun. Thank Jim and Sam for sponsorship, putting on the league, and you guys for the broadcast. You guys do a hell of a job, and everybody watching, and we'll see what we can do next week.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us here on 3 Wide TV, Jared, and best of luck next week at Bristol, because we all know everyone needs a little bit of luck at Bristol.
Yeah, hopefully the yellow spoilers and splitter will bring us a little bit of luck. We can come back to you guys in victory.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Jared Mogart sounding quite confident as we head into the round of 12 here in the American Sim Racing Series Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series playoffs. Well, Tanner, I do believe you have got the number 42 Jim Foose lined up for an interview. Nice.
Yes, I've caught up with Jim Foose, and Jim Foose had a pretty, I want to say, a solid race. But despite of everything of a wild race, Jim, you came up with a 9th place finish. And by the way, congratulations on making the playoffs. But crazy race for you in that 42 machine.
Yeah, it was an interesting night. We had a little bit of speed, which we normally don't at these bigger tracks. We usually struggle, and the truck was fast. It just was not wasn't very snug under me, so we had some issues handling, and everybody did. The track was pretty slick, but it was an interesting night. The Menards Toyota battled through it, and I think we got a finish that the stats will show a little bit better finish than probably where we ran all race.
Yeah, and talk about the Michigan just to hear a little bit. You said you had speed. You were kind of climbing up the field there. You had that incident down in turn 3 there. But, man, you were still trying to come back because I think we caught you battling for 16th, and you were around that ballpark where you started in 17th. But take me a little bit getting through that incident coming off that back straightaway there that happened that gave you that 9th place finish there.
Yeah, I don't really know what led up to it. I just saw somebody, I think, got in the wall, and then another one went spinning. And I says, you know what, we're solidly in the playoffs here. We're the one that's who we're battling for our spot, and those are playoff points. So, or playoff seeding points, I should say. And so obviously we want to get that point or whatever it is on him. I think we came in 2 points ahead, so I just wanted to finish ahead of him to just secure it up. But I made the chicane down the backstretch onto the apron, avoided a few of them, and a couple of the guys had checked up, and I saw that the green lights are still on, so kept my foot in it and figured if we get the thing wadded up here, we get it wadded up. No big loss, but. Yeah, just kind of lucked out there with them kind of scattering everywhere. Easily could have went like Pocono did a couple weeks ago, where we got piled up in it. So it's nice to have one go our way.
Yeah, and I think that's you've had some solid finishes in recent races here. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to double check here, and it only takes me a couple seconds. You got 2 top 10s in a row, so you do got some momentum realistically riding with you right now. You had an 8th place at Eldora, you get a 9th here at Michigan, and now you're locked into the playoffs. Now we go to Bristol for the start of the playoffs. What is this 42 team looking for the playoffs, and can they carry? And can you guys continue with this momentum?
Well, that's the hope. I mean, you always go into these deals kind of hoping that you could pull something off. I don't know what we learned tonight that would help us at Bristol and Canadian Tire, maybe a little bit at Vegas, but really for us, it's just going to be about getting a couple solid finishes, go into Bristol and get a decent finish, hopefully right around the top 10, top 12. And then it's going to be surviving Canadian Tire and keeping the wheels on the track and just keeping the engine under it, because we've had some engine problems up there the last 2 years and haven't been too competitive. Not too worried about speed when it comes to the road course. We're more concerned about just kind of hanging out and being there at the end. And then, of course, maybe take a little bit of the Speedway package over to Vegas and see how we do at the big tracks.
In your position in the point standings entering the playoffs, I'm currently looking at the schedule here. You almost have to have a good finish at Bristol if you want to kind of sit, relax, and have a good race at most sports so you can be competitive there. It almost looks like you have to be on your game right off the bat.
Oh yeah, we have to roll out at Bristol and be right on top of where we need to be. We need to. Honestly, I think we need to leave there with probably a top 8 finish, if not better than that. But again, we're not going to get greedy with it. We need to pad as many points as we can through Bristol. Hopefully glide through Canadian Tire with maybe a top 10 and then get to Vegas and see what happens there.
All right, Jim. Well, it was great talking to you this evening, but I do understand you have some shout-outs you'd like to give, so I'll leave it to you with the shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that puts our Menards Toyota on the track every week. You know, Menards does a great job with our bright yellow and everything that they bring us. Got American Regardless. Again, I talk about that every week. It's a patriotic brand that does some really cool things. Maxwell Inc., that's a dental supply company. Hulko Intercon Roofing Solutions, and iRacingIFlag. You know, there's some folks out there that are trying to copycat what the iRacingIFlag is, but nothing will beat the original iRacingIFlag and the quality that those guys put into their work. So if you're looking for something of that nature, make sure that it's a true, authentic iRacingIFlag and not an imposter.
All right, Jim. Well, good job on the 9th place finish tonight. Best of luck in the playoffs. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on you as the playoffs will be going about all the way until November. Thank you for talking with us, and best of luck at Bristol. All right, well, that was Jim Foose, who finishes in the 9th position here tonight. It was a pretty good finish for him, and I do believe it's time to wrap it up just a little bit here, Peter. Yep, unofficial race results.
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, we still have the race results to do there, Tanner. But I'll lead you through the top 10 race winner. Jared Mogart, of course, comes home first. Will Worsler comes home second. Michael Krobach third. Jimmy McKee, another respectable run for that number 31 machine. Jared Haggerty comes home fifth. Tyler Seville in that number 11 machine comes home sixth. Richard Salling seventh. Troy Haight comes home eighth. Jim Foose, who we just talked to, comes home ninth. And Brian Yazik rounds out your top 10, what could have been for that number 55 here tonight.
Oh, most definitely. As Jason Stewart, who had an EOL penalty at the start, he finishes in the 11th position. Jack Wells in 12th. Tim Knott, 13th. Richard Fletcher, 14th. Jonathan Holstein in 15th position. Alan Young, 16th. Edward Bray in 17th. Sam Maxwell, 18th. JR Bash in 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Nick Curling.
Coming home in the 21st position is the number 43 of Steve Buhala. And 22nd, the number 51 of Mitch Brown, the last truck on the lead lap. Of course, involved in that last lap accident. Dylan Hickey comes home 23rd. Alex Giese 24th. Chris Titus 25th. Doug Mullins, Pete Baskins, and Lee Staples all did not finish. and they finished 26th through 28th, respectively. Well, Tanner, it is playoff time here in the ASRS and Maxwell Customs Truck Series. Next week we got Bristol. What are your thoughts about the tricky half-mile Bristol Motor Speedway?
Oh, Bristol. I mean, and it's a night race as well. And all NASCAR fans, and actually race fan or not, you know what the Bristol Motor Speedway is when NASCAR fans talk about it. It is the world's fastest half mile. It's Thunder Valley. It's the world's greatest Coliseum. I mean, putting some trucks on that racetrack, and it's going to be some short track action and maybe some short tempers as well. So it's going to be a white knuckle dukem in the trucks on the 13th of August here on 3 Wide TV for the Sam Maxwell Customs Bristol 125. What a way to kick off the 2019 Sam Maxwell Customs Truck Series playoffs. And just by looking at the playoff picture, and I think talking with Jim Foose says it all, you have to be on top of your game. Bristol, you got to be there because the following week you're going to a road course, and if you're not a road course guy, then you're going to struggle there. Even if you're in the playoffs, you're going to struggle there. Las Vegas, it's a 1.5 mile racetrack. It's a little better and a little more comfort suiting, but if you decide to get through the round of 12, then you got to worry about the round of 8, and it's no tougher because it starts off at Talladega, and then you go to the small track of Lucas Oil and Phoenix, and then we finish with the top 4 drivers at Homestead. So this is a very tough playoff schedule, and it all kicks off at Bristol.
Yeah, should be a fantastic race here on 3 Wide TV. So make sure to join us again here next week because it is going to be a spectacular race. Well, for myself, Peter Short, Tanner Sharp, and as always, Carlos Acosta in the production truck, we want to give thanks to a few people. First off, SimTV for the camera angles that you saw tonight, and secondly, Thomas Morris for the graphics package. Well, for Peter Short, Tanner Sharp, and Carlos Acosta, we bid you all good evening, and we'll see you again next week for the playoffs.
See ya!